morning, my name is Josh from CyclonesOZ, and today another detailed forecast update coming your way. We're going to be talking about severe thunderstorms which are going to be crossing from South Australia and into New South Wales and Queensland throughout tonight and into tomorrow morning. A monster outbreak is expected tomorrow night, so all of the details coming up in today's forecast video. We're also going to give a brief tropical weather update as well. We do have a spin up over in the West Australian waters. Don't worry, no threat to land. However, we will take a little look at that. And we'll also talk about some thunderstorms across the central and the southeastern Queensland coast sometime next week. All of that plus more coming up in today's weather forecast. If you are brand new to the channel, please consider subscribing. The support lately has been much appreciated, but let's get stuck straight into things. So this is going to be a complex forecast update. We're going to start with South Australia and that area. However, if you are from New South Wales, I do recommend watching this video, especially this part of the video, especially if you are interested in the severe thunderstorms throughout the course of tomorrow, because this is an important aspect in the forecast. So from South Australia today, you can see these thunderstorms are going to wrap themselves up later on tonight. We are expecting an outbreak of severe thunderstorms along a low pressure system which is racing across the state right now, and these severe thunderstorms will potentially be developing along the Flinders Ranges areas far north up towards Woomera and Roxby Downs, and we could even get some severe storms up towards Mintby and Oodnadatta as well. There is the risk of widespread severe thunderstorms tonight into early tomorrow morning throughout central and central eastern parts of South Australia, powered by this low pressure system which is going to be traversing the South Australian coastline. This is a very complex weather system as well, might I add, so a lot can change in this forecast here, and there's going to be a lot of moving parts, so we're going to focus on this bit by bit. Now for Adelaide, and generally speaking for the southeast of South Australia, we are expecting some pretty moderate to heavy rainfall at times this afternoon and evening. You can see it here on this forecast run. There's really nothing piping up right now, but later on this afternoon at around 3 p.m. local time, we're going to start to see some rainfall and heavy showers start to develop across the southeast of the state, including Adelaide, and some of these showers could turn into potentially severe thunderstorms. Now, the rainfall is not going to make it right down into the absolute southern corners of the state. Robe is probably about as far south as the rainfall is going to make it, but you can see still pretty widespread in the grand scheme of things, especially across the eastern half of South Australia. We've also got some heavy falls expected for Kangaroo Island and along the Eyre Peninsula as well. Much needed rainfall for those locations. Port Lincoln could get a healthy 15 millimeters tonight from the back end of this low pressure system as it sweeps through. But the thunderstorm risk is isolated up to this corner of South Australia where I'm circling right now. That includes communities such as Roxby Downs, Murray, Lay Creek, down towards Hawker, Port Augusta as well, and even down towards basically a little bit north of Adelaide, we could be seeing some severe thunderstorms as well. There is the chance of severe thunderstorms in Adelaide and the Adelaide metro area. However, they're not looking awfully likely at this time. I'm probably going to give the severe storm chance there about 30 or 40%, but they are definitely expected in this part of South Australia here, and by extension extending into New South Wales as well later on tonight into early tomorrow morning. We're expecting severe thunderstorms to continue, especially for communities such as Broken Hill and then up towards Tibooburra, and then even as far north as Birdsville in southwestern Queensland could get the odd storm here and there. Another thing that I would like to add is today it is going to be very hot across the northeastern corner of South Australia and even down towards the southeastern corner as well. Adelaide is only going up to 28, but there are a lot of areas expecting to go into the mid-30s in this area of South Australia, and then up towards sort of Roxby Downs, Woomera, that sort of area, we're expecting tops of 42, 43, 44 here and there. It is going to be very hot indeed, and you can already start to feel it in the air. I bet up there it is starting to get pretty warm and very quickly as well. The Bureau of Meteorology has highlighted a top of 43, which was the highest I could find on their forecast for Cooper Pedy. I reckon it could scrape a little bit hotter than that. I'm going to be watching these temperature observations like a hawk. I would not be surprised if Moomba or Woomera got to 44 or 45 today. Unseasonably hot for this time of the year. 40 degrees is stock standard for early October, but for this time of the year that is pretty hot, and also very hot extending into New South Wales, and that basically answers the question of where is the fuel for these severe thunderstorms. It is the extreme heat and instability from this low pressure system racing across South Australia. This is just perfect conditions for severe thunderstorms. I haven't seen a better setup for South Australia in 6 years of weather tracking on the forecast model, so we're going to see some pretty nasty stuff tonight, and that's for sure across inland South Australia. And extending off into New South Wales as well, we could see some pretty nasty stuff as well. However, the thunderstorms will likely have transitioned into high precipitation squall modes by then, which means they're all going to combine together later on tonight and just mainly be a rainmaker and damaging wind threat. However, we still could be seeing some small hailstones to communities such as Broken Hill and along the South Australia-New South Wales border, a very remote corner of New South Wales, might I add, and it certainly isn't the main threat from these severe thunderstorms. Now let's talk about New South Wales and Victoria because they have some thunderstorms on the forecast, let me tell you. We'll start off with Victoria just quickly. You can see showers and storms extending into the state throughout the early hours of tomorrow morning and the later hours of tonight, and that will get itself jammed up against the Great Dividing Range around Mansfield and Shepparton and those areas throughout the course of early tomorrow morning. We're expecting some very good rainfall accumulations there, potentially up towards 60 millimetres by the 9 a.m. on Friday morning, so some very heavy falls are possible there, and then some more rainfall also expected in the afternoon from severe thunderstorms. So how this low pressure system is going to work is it's going to bring a preliminary line of showers and storms through New South Wales throughout the course of tomorrow morning. Now this line of storms is going to be pretty patchy. The rainfall is not expected to be heavy, and there's only going to be a few strikes of lightning here and there. The communities that are likely to be hardest hit, and I use that term very loosely because they're not going to be hard hit at all, are likely to be Cobar, which could receive up to 10 millimetres by the 9 a.m. on Friday morning, and then more showers and storms are expected to continue into the northeast corners of the state. Some heavier falls are expected across the southern part of the state around Wagga Wagga and then down towards Albury as well. We're expecting some decent falls down there, potentially up towards 20 or 25 millimetres Friday morning and into the early afternoon hours. But what's really caught my eye and caught a lot of people's eye is what's going to happen on the backside of this front here. So you can think of this system here, this low pressure system, which we'll get to talking about in just a minute. There's so much to talk about here, as having two fronts. The first front is the one that's going to be causing all the trouble in South Australia tonight, and those weak storms and showers moving through New South Wales tomorrow morning and early afternoon. That's going to peter off by around 2 or 3 p.m. tomorrow, and it will be located over the Tamworth, Moree, Lightning Ridge sort of area by tomorrow afternoon. Now, behind it, there's going to be perfect conditions, warm temperatures, high humidity, and a lot of instability in the atmosphere for thunderstorms to fire up. And along what we call the dry line, which is where dry air meets that warm, moist, and rich for thunderstorms air, there's going to be a line of severe thunderstorms firing up tomorrow early afternoon into the evening hours. Now, this is most likely to occur between a line from Wanaring down towards Cobar, including Burke, and then down towards communities such as Wagga Wagga, Griffith, Hillston, Hay. I believe Young would also be in there, and same with Parks. Parks is a little bit further over here, and then across towards Dubbo and Orange as well. This is where the severe thunderstorm high risk zone is. We're really talking about the danger for some severe thunderstorms here, and at around 2 or 3 p.m. tomorrow, we're really going to start to see them fire up. Now, 3 to 4 p.m. is kind of the danger zone, if you'd like, for severe thunderstorms. This is where they're going to be isolated enough to be supercellular, which is what we are expecting a lot of these storms to be, which means they're going to have giant hailstones in them. A lot of them will have large hailstones at the very least, some very heavy pockets of rainfall, damaging winds, and also the chance to produce some tornadoes. Now, tornadoes are unlikely, as with pretty much every severe thunderstorm in Australia. They're very, very rare as hen's teeth, but as you get further north into the northern half of New South Wales, between Cobar and Burke, I reckon there will be a zone where there's a higher chance than usual for tornadoes, and I'd not be surprised if we saw reports of 2 or 3 spinning up in this general area where the cursor is circling right now. It'll be very interesting to see. Tornadoes always a hard sell in the thunderstorm forecast, but I'm pretty confident in them firing up throughout the course of tomorrow afternoon. Now, I believe once you get the communities further towards the west of Griffith and Hillston, including Ivanhoe, and then across towards White Cliffs and Broken Hill, Tibbaborough as well, I don't think there's going to be too many thunderstorms there tomorrow afternoon. I think the storms are going to develop further towards the east of those communities that I've just named, which means communities such as Cobar and then down towards West Wyalong and then Wagga Wagga, Albury, just to name a few along this area, they are going to get slammed with severe thunderstorms. It's going to be the ones that receive the storms first that get the hardest hit before these storms all combine together and transition into what's going to be a pretty dramatic squall line. Now, the thunderstorms across the northern parts of New South Wales, up towards the aptly named Lightning Ridge, getting a lot of thunderstorms this time of the year. Basically anywhere further north of Dubbo, across towards Tamworth, and this line here, up here, we're expecting the storms to remain as supercells, or at least isolated pulse thunderstorms, which means they're going to have the opportunity to be very intense, very late on into the night, and potentially as late as 8 or 9 p.m, potentially even later than that. Actually, you can see a few severe thunderstorms still maintaining around Moree and Lightning Ridge at 10 p.m. local time tomorrow night. It is going to be quite the night indeed for severe thunderstorms up there. However, as you get further south and into the more hilly and mountainous areas around outside of Dubbo and Orange and then down towards even Canberra as well, these thunderstorms will transition into high precipitation squall modes, which means they're just going to bring the risk of moderate to heavy rainfall, squally winds, and the chance for some small hailstones as well. Stock standard stuff and really nothing to worry about for the majority of people unless you live in a really flood-prone area. But yeah, tomorrow night it should be a little bit more tamer as you get further towards the east. And also just to add as well, Sydney could get a few showers and thunderstorms tomorrow afternoon and evening, especially into the southern suburbs, most likely at around 7 or 8 p.m. Local time. Wollongong could also get a few thunderstorms down towards Ulladulla as well, some thunderstorms possible there. There's just a huge expanse of thunderstorms expected. And I also would like to add tomorrow afternoon and evening into the southeast of Queensland, a few thunderstorms are also expected to fire up around the Toowoomba and Warwick area. Not expecting anything strong here, but typically this time of the year, if 1 or 2 pulse thunderstorms get themselves going, they can become severe. So I'd not be surprised if we saw severe warm storms or some heavy rainfall across this part of Queensland and New South Wales. Now, you thought we were done. We are far from done. We've still got to talk about Victoria and what these thunderstorms are going to be down there. They're expected to be severe, probably not intense, but certainly some severe storms are expected from tomorrow morning across the central western half of the state around Bendigo, Ballarat, Ararat, that sort of area. And then we're expecting that heavy rainfall, as we've mentioned a couple of minutes ago, outside of Albury, Mansfield, Shepparton, that sort of area. And let's just talk about that heavy rainfall real quick because we are expecting a lot of it. Take a look at this. In just a 36-hour period from Thursday evening to Saturday morning, rainfall accumulations will certainly be in excess of 50 millimetres across much of this general area here. Mansfield expecting about 50 millimetres, but some locations outside of Omeo, Shepparton, and then I guess these are more mountainous and remote communities, but still expecting some good rainfall accumulations up there, up towards 50, 60, potentially 70 millimetres as well. And then outside of Thredbo, I believe Cubramara would be outside of here, we're expecting up towards 70 millimetres of rainfall as well. Canberra expecting about 30 millimetres, where these thunderstorms are going to transition into squall modes around Orange, Dubbo, that sort of area, expecting accumulations between 20 and 40 millimetres there. Once you get further out into New South Wales, around the Cobar, Burke sort of area, where these thunderstorms will be initially firing up, specifically between Cobar and Burke, where they're expected to be at their intense, it is highly dependent on what severe storms you get. If you miss out, you're not going to get any rainfall, unfortunately, but if you get a big supercell thunderstorm that could drop 50 millimetres in 20 minutes, you could end up with a lot of rainfall, as I've just mentioned. So again, make sure you are playing it really safe. There is certainly the high chance of flash flooding across interior parts of New South Wales tomorrow. This is a brute of a weather event, and it is going to pack a punch indeed. Hopefully the strongest round of severe thunderstorms that we see this wet season. However, I doubt that is going to be the case just with the setups that we have been getting. We're also expecting some very good rainfall across the southeast and South Australia coastline later tonight into tomorrow morning, and then tomorrow morning across the southern Victoria coastline between Robe across towards Mount Gambier and South Australia, and even down towards Melbourne, expecting about 40 millimetres there. So some very good falls are expected there. Tasmania as well, expecting some good rainfall across the mountainous west coast and into the north as well. Burnie and Penguin expecting good accumulations between 20 and 40 millimetres there. So it looks like it's going to be pretty widespread. The rainfall across Victoria and Tasmania, there will be embedded thunderstorms in it, but it most likely will be just kind of moderate to heavy showers here and there that turn into rainfall. But across New South Wales, especially across the western half of the state, the thunderstorms there will bring business rainfall, the really heavy stuff, but it will still be pretty hit and miss there. So there certainly could be locations that completely miss out of the rainfall. And then once you get into the south eastern corner of the state outside of Canberra and into the more mountainous areas, the rainfall there will be a little bit more steady and much more predictable. That was a very long-winded forecast update, and I do not blame you if you're feeling a little bit confused or overwhelmed. Just make sure you do play it safe, keep updated with the Bureau of Meteorology, keep checking on the rain radar as well. Tomorrow afternoon it's going to be a nasty one indeed. I'm going to give a very detailed forecast update on just these thunderstorms alone tomorrow morning, so make sure you are subscribed for that. And if you've got any questions as well, or you're unsure on what you're expecting for your specific location, then please do let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll be more than happy to help you out. Across Queensland, we do have some more thunderstorms throughout the course of next week. Specifically Tuesday, I've highlighted the chance of a few thunderstorms firing up along the Sunshine Coast. Again, nothing too crazy here. We're really not talking about severe thunderstorms, but we could still be seeing a few thunderstorms across the southeast of the state. And this time of the year, we do have to kind of talk about every chance of thunderstorms that we see on the forecast, because they can blow up into some intense stuff from basically nothing. And then later on next week as well, I think Thursday, I've highlighted the chance of a day of potentially severe thunderstorms outside of Rolleston and Taroom in more central parts of southeastern Queensland. So we will take a closer look at this, but in short, nothing really expected for the central Queensland coast over the next 10 days in terms of severe thunderstorms. Same for the Capricorn district and same for the southeastern corner of Queensland as well. Nothing too much in the way of intense weather expected over the next 10 days. Now, just before I wrap this video up, I did find an interesting feature on the forecast when I was researching this video, but I'm going to have to really zoom out for this. You can see we do have a tropical disturbance about 4,000 kilometres off the northwest coast of Western Australia, and you can see it here on the satellite imagery here. It looks pretty decent, actually. Now, the ATCF, which is based off in the United States, which is basically the governing body of designating tropical systems worldwide, has designated this system as a point of interest, which means that it is a possibility for tropical cyclone development. However, it is substantially further away from Australia and closer towards Mauritius, where it will be monitored there by the Mauritius Weather Agency, which means it is, of course, no threat to Australia. You'd have heard about it by now if it was a threat to Australia in any way. And I believe another thing to add on, if you haven't watched the wet season forecasts, West Australian tropical cyclones are most likely going to be tracking away from the state this cyclone season. So if this system was to follow that rule, it certainly will be tracking further away from Western Australia, and as you can see on the forecast models, that is certainly going to be the case. It could develop into a weak tropical disturbance sometime on Friday or Saturday, but you can see it kind of gets ripped apart by wind shear, which is the stuff that causes thunderstorms to be really intense and tropical cyclones to be really weak because it messes up how they're vertically aligned. Thunderstorms like that stuff. Tropical cyclones, which are organised, don't like that stuff. And you can see that wind shear kind of gets the better of this system by later this weekend and into early next week, and it really isn't becoming anything of point at all. We actually have had a tropical cyclone off in the same sort of general area as this little tropical disturbance this cyclone season already, but it was monitored by Mauritius, and that's why you heard nothing about it from the Bureau of Meteorology or me over here. I did know about it, but it just wasn't worth covering when we were talking about severe thunderstorms over in the southeast of Queensland. They've got more kind of got bigger fish to fry. But yeah, certainly some rumbles across the tropical scene as well in the Australian basin. We're going to have to keep a very close eye on tropical disturbances. Nothing yet on the 10 or 14-day forecasts, but I don't reckon it's going to be too long until we start to have to talk about stuff like that. Maybe only a month or so away. But yeah, that basically does it. It's a very long forecast update, especially for New South Wales, Victoria and South Australia viewers. If I have ended up confusing you, then please let me know in the comment section down below. Stay up to date with the Bureau of Meteorology's warnings as well. They'll have the latest information, hopefully. Also, check other forecasts as well if you're uncertain with this forecast. This is just a blend of 4 major forecast models, so you can check other forecast models as well, just making sure that everything is matching. But I reckon what we have given out today as a forecast for New South Wales, especially for tomorrow, is going to be very accurate, and it's going to be a pretty good representation of how things end up playing up over there. But yeah, that basically does it for me today. Special shout out to the channel sponsors. Their names are on screen right now. I could not run this show without them, so again, their support is amazing, and that is all that I have time for, and I'll catch you all in the next storm. Goodbye.